What was your contact like with Bruiser Brody over the years?
Bruiser Brody, believe it or not, I still talk to Barbara. Barbara was Bruiser's wife, and that she's a Kiwi. So Bruiser was in my clique. You know, I booked territories. My first territory of booking is, you know what a booker is a talent coordinator who promoter, runs the front of the house, sells tickets, gets the buildings, does the promotion to get the people, get the asses in the seats. The booker runs the back of the house, you know, runs the matches and writes the television. And Joe Blanchard was the first territory I ever booked with, and Frank lived just 30 miles out of San Antonio, so I used Frank a lot. And every territory I went and booked later on in my life, I took Frank. He put asses in seats. God bless him. You know, he died in '88. That was my first year in WWF, and it's hard to think that '88. You know, it'll be 30 years to 18. You know, 27 years since he's been dead. It's time just flowing like that. But that man, a lot of promoters, they brought him in and if he was in a bad mood, the poor guy he was working with suffered.
Did Carlos Colon owe him money at the time of his death?
This is where there's something funny here. You know, the Invader had something going on with him from 1978 when Invader was a job guy, an extra for WWF. He was living and working for Vince Sr. And they brought Brody in the late 70s and were pushing him. And I think Bruiser knew how to get over. It didn't matter. When he went into a territory, he chopped meat. Well, you know what I mean? He chopped meat. He was a big man, fit as a fiddle, and he just went through them. So I guess at the time, Capital Sport, and don't quote me on this because I was booking. I booked there twice in my life. You know, I've been in the booking and that, but the situation happened and that between Invader and Brody. It was a sad situation. And at that time, I heard Brody became a babyface there, a good guy, but he just worked like he was when he was a heel. And of course, the office didn't like anyone getting more powerful. That's why that office, Capital Sport, went down, because Carlos, you know, it was Carlos, his sons, his family had always kept, and his brother's son, they kept on top, and all of a sudden, there's an outside babyface. I had situations there where I had guys getting over, babyfaces getting over. Sweet Brown Sugar from Texas, a black guy, he was getting over. And all of a sudden I got told to give him his notice. You know, they don't like anyone apart from the office. That's how it was there. But you know, you can't be on top all your life, and you know, your family runs short. You have to put other talents in that spot to draw. At the moment, the territory is not doing it all, not doing good at all. They've got prime time, 1 hour on Saturday at midday, 1 hour on Sunday at midday. And in the islands, that's prime time, you know, shows. And they're doing 200, a big show just recently, they did 2,000 to 3,000. Where in my day when I was there, for big shows like Anniversary, we did 25,000. So it was a big change in that. And I was down there in Puerto Rico with another gentleman called Hannibal at the time, and we were doing great business there. We were doing great business in the 2000, while Carlos was doing 300 to 400 on a Saturday night, we were doing 2,000 to 3,000 on a Saturday night. Times changed, but that office is not there anymore. The owner died.
How did you come up with the name Hannibal?
I was looking at different people and that, and people's temperament and that. And this guy, I don't know whether you ever heard of Devil Nicholson. He was a sort of a loner. And Hannibal, you know, in the movies, he was a loner. I read his books before I saw the movies and that. And there's a few names, Abyss, Niagara. There's quite a few names. The guys now are working around the States and that. And there's names that I gave them, and I've still got the names.
And what's your favorite memory of wrestling yourself in Puerto Rico? You had so many huge matches there over the years.
Yeah, over the years, well, I had so many different matches there. And I'm going to say, you know, I came back and did a few things. After Brody's death, Capital Sports went down to zero. You know, as I just said, in the 80s, mind you, used to change the evolution of time and that with all the television. That changed it. You know, cable television, you know, came in at one time. It was only about 6 stations down there, and now you can get 1,000 stations all through South America. But you know, at the time we came back after we finished in WWE. We finished in '96 or '97, '6, and I came back there for 6 weeks as the Bushwackers, and they never seen us as baby faces there. Then I turned back to heel and went against the Invaders, the guy who was, they quote, in the situation with Brody. And they were only doing that. The biggest house they'd ever done was 6,000 since Brody's death, I think, or 6,000 or 7,000. And we did a so-called angle where I crucified the Invader one, tied him up on the side of a cage with barbed wire, and like a cross and that, and we came back and we drew 17,000 after them doing 6,000. So it was great to think that we could come back and turn things around.